Okay, you want to separate some things, and are you going to use physical or chemical processes, and which one will work to do what? So let's say, I'm going to start with this one, alcohol and water. So let's say you've got a container with a mixture of alcohol and water in it. Okay, one thing that you can do to separate this mixture of alcohol and water is you can boil it. And when you heat it up, what's going to happen is one of these two substances is going to evaporate first, and that is the alcohol, because the alcohol has a boiling point that is less than the boiling point of water. So the boiling point of alcohol is less than the boiling point of water. So if you heat this stuff up above alcohol's boiling point, but not all the way up to water's boiling point, the alcohol particles will jump out. Okay? And when those alcohol particles boil out, you can, have some kind of a surface here that they'll condense on, and then they'll drip down, and then you can catch them. So you can separate them by boiling. So what kind of a process is this? Is this a physical or a chemical process? How do you tell which is which? Well, the idea here is, and I've mentioned this before, but in a physical process, you get nothing new. And in a chemical process, you do get something new. So did we make anything new here? What did we start off with? We started off with alcohol and water. And what are we ending up with? We've got the alcohol that boiled off, and we caught that right here. And then what's left in the beaker is water. So we got nothing new. So that tells you that this was a physical process. Another example of a physical process would be you've got a big pile of sand and gravel and stuff. And you want to separate them. You want to sell the sand to people who are making, I don't know, volleyball courts or something. And so what you could do is you could take some kind of a grating, some kind of a metal screen, and you could shovel this through it, and then you'd get smaller and smaller particles. And if you used another screen with a finer and finer mesh, you'd wind up with the sand at the bottom. So in this one, did we get anything new? No, we just got based on size, we separated them. So that is also a physical process. Now let's look at this, sugar. Sugar, if you want to break sugar apart into its components, well, let's take a look at a sugar like glucose. It's C6H12O6. If you take sugar and you dump in some battery acid, so acid and sugar, what happens is the acid acts on the sugar, and the water goes away. The water gets separated out, and you wind up with carbon. So you get this black sooty looking stuff. Now, is this a physical or a chemical process? Well, did we get something new? Yes, we did. What we wound up with was we had no water and we had no carbon by itself, and now we do. So we went from having our sugar to separating out water and carbon from it. So that is a chemical process. And then how about with water? Let's say you've got some water, and you want to take that water and you want to split it apart into hydrogen and oxygen. All you have to do is take a battery, and if you have a strong one, that's better, but you put the wires in the water, and you'll notice little bubbles start to form on each wire. And each wire, one wire is giving off hydrogen gas, and the other wire is giving off oxygen gas. And you could catch those bubbles if you wanted to. But is this a physical or a chemical process? Well, it is a chemical process because we started off with just water in here, and then what we wound up with was oxygen and hydrogen. Those are both new substances. They both have a new formula. So that's how you can tell if you're using a physical or a chemical process to separate something.